Welcome to the channel, folks. Clunkers and Classics, where we are about to wrap up the body work and the prep on this Avalanche and paint it. So last episode on this, I fixed all these dents. There's all dents in here. You watch that video if you haven't watched it. Ground it down, filled it in, primed it. So what we need to do still is block it down and reprime it, and then we can just sand the whole side. Okay, the hood, I filled in these two holes here where somebody drilled a deal for a little emblem type thing. I fixed some dents on hail dents, but I'm not going to fix them all. It's going white. You'll barely notice it. Okay, and I started fixing some dents here. A dent here, a little ding there. The only one I haven't got to is this one. We got a few over here. Nothing too serious. Okay, yeah, we're probably going to end up priming this whole hood. So anyway, we're going to start. What you want to do is you want to get most of the materials I use is a roll of 80 grit for the body work, and then 180 for the final, the sanding before you prime it. Then the final sanding would be like 320 grit, 400 grit. So we got some 180, and all you're going to do is block this down. Now, last episode when I was showing you the body work, what I do right when you think you got it all, the body work all blocked out, put a light skim all the way across, and then block it down, then prime it. And that will get rid of the deep scratches, the pinholes, stuff like that. So shouldn't have any of that here, but most likely you're going to. Okay, so, and should probably get some flat black paint, spray can, put a guide coat over this. That way when you block it out and everything, the black will show up, them pinholes, low spots, stuff like that. I'm just skipping over that step. And you use your other hand, see if I can do it. Like that, get rid of the sandpaper. Flip it around like this. Keep doing that. Reuse that sandpaper. Go diagonally back and forth. Okay, so you can see how it's puppy. So you can see how it's coming out here. See the Bondo here. Just keep blocking her down. Man, it's pretty straight. Pretty much just keep doing that. Now we got a little problem. Some of the paint wrinkled around the edges because this has had a cheap paint job before. You'll have to sand all that stuff off. There's a little wrinkle there, right where that was feather edged. So we're going to go over that with the DA with 182. Okay, so we're just going to block all this down and reprime it. So I'll be back when I get that done. Okay guys, I got this area here blocked down. Now I wanted to show you. You see where the paint was peeling? The lacquer in the primer affected that. I gotta feather all that out. Okay, there's actually still some under here. I thought it was from the cheap repaint, but it's not. It's the factory white. Now GM, I think they've had problems all along with that especially white. But mostly all paints in the 90s, you'd see all manufacturers did. Okay, whether it's Chrysler, GM, Ford, all the paint peeled off in the 90s, because that's when the EPA regulated, you know, banned a bunch of chemicals and stuff, and they had to, I think it's water-based now instead of chemical-based paint. So it's shitty paint, and they never did perfect it. Took them, I don't know, probably a decade or two to perfect the paint. This is 2002. Obviously they didn't have it perfected by then. See all the... Okay, so if you were to do a perfect job on this, you would strip all that white paint, strip it all the way down the metal. We're not going to do this we're not going to spend the time on this, so I'm going to feather it out. As you can see, you know, some spots feathered out. I'm going to feather out best I can, and then put on the primer real dry around them areas. Real dry, or use a different type of primer like the 2-part epoxy. I'll probably try that. So you can just put a little dry coat on there, a little bit, wait a little bit more, build it up a little bit. So anyway, let me feather all that out and get this area primered, and I'll be back. Okay guys, I made a separate little video of putting the 2 rear regulators in there, power motor regulators, and the speakers. So if you want to watch that, I made it separate for people that are interested in that, and I didn't want to fill up this video with a whole bunch of stuff because we're trying to get the painting in this video. So anyway, I got all this in final prime. It started spitting out in rain, but I think it's all right. I just laid the coats on real thin and built it up, so it should be all right. But anyway, this side's done. The hood's just ready to prime. Fixed these 2 spots here, smoothed them out. A little bit of hail. That's ready to prime. Pretty much, I just got a little one there. I think I got to take the door panel off to bang this one out because of the body line. That one's fixed, and a little bit more Bondo here. Then we'll get to just sanding. I'll prime them, then we'll just get to sanding all this crap out and scuffing her down, ready to paint it, ready to get it masked up, then paint. Okay, so I'll be back. Okay guys, I got about half the hood primed, all where the body work was. I got the body work done here and just prime those areas. I still got to sand this down, block it down with 180, then reprime it. Then I'll prime these areas up here. I started sanding up here a little bit. Got to do some priming on the roof. Prime the whole hood after I'm done. And this side here's been blocked with 180 and sanded and reprimed. So basically, I still got to DA a few spots like this, feather them out, put the primer on real dry because it may, same with areas like this, it may wrinkle up again. So basically, we just got to sand down. I got some 400 wet and dry here, sandpaper. And we're going to use it dry first. And then once it seems like it's worn out, then we'll use it, get a little bucket of water and keep using it. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is sand everything with 400. Okay, so all the old white paint here, just going to sand it. And if you haven't watched the painting on the Nomad, the prep on the paint, you know, I went over a lot of stuff, but don't use your fingers. Don't dig your fingers in like that because it'll leave grooves, especially in the primered bodywork area. You actually use a thin soft block, it's called. I don't have one, or I can't find it. Either that or just keep your hands straight, go in circular motions, And keep sanding, get all the edges real good. Use the little edges there. Make sure there's no shiny spots. Anywhere there's a shiny spot, that's where the paint's gonna peel off. Okay, and then wanna the body work, just wanna don't press real hard and put grooves in it. Then you just want to check it over. Make sure there's no little pinholes or big scratches in it or nothing. Just sand it till it's smooth. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just go over the whole truck like that. It'll take you a while, but okay, so I'll be back when I get that done, and I guess we'll paint it, or mask it up and paint it. So I guess I'll be back when I do that. If you haven't watched the first part of this, watch that where I did all the body work, or most of it. Showed you how to do that and prime it. And then this is just really, this video should have just been prepping it and painting it, but I went over a little other stuff. So yeah, we're just gonna like reprime the hood, and then scuff it down. Just use your 400 grit, scuff it all down, and be ready to paint. Secret to a good paint job is to wash it. So after you got it all sanded, all ready to paint, wash it down real good. Get all that dust and dirt and everything all out from, you know, they all get trapped in the door handles here, all around the moldings and cladding. And you just want to power wash it if you can. Just clean it real good, and then mask it up and paint it. So I'll be back when we get closer to that step. Okay guys, it's been a few days. Just got back from the hot rod power tour. Took the Nomad, almost 2,600 miles, no problems with it. But now we're back to work. So last few days I've just been sanding it, priming it, getting it all ready. I still got a few little bare spots of metal, but we'll deal with that a little bit later. Okay, just gonna rinse it all off real good, and then get a sponge, some soap, and soap it all down. You want to get all the dust from everywhere. Door jambs, bed, clean out the bed, and just rinse everything off. Okay, and then we're gonna wipe down like the jams and all that before we mask it. Get all the sludge and stuff out of there. And then of course we'll mask it up and then wipe it down real good before we paint it. But right now, got my cheap pressure washer. Okay, so that's basically what I'm going to be doing. Just rinse it off real good. Probably going to wash the Nomad. I never got a proper wash in the last week or so. So anyway, I'll be back when it's all cleaned off, and then we'll clean out the shop and get it ready to paint. mask and paint. So I'll be back. Okay guys, starting to rain out, so well, it's been raining. I don't know if it's stopping or it's gonna continue, but got her pulled in here and masking it up. Want to thank Dean Goudry for the tripod here. It extends out up to like 5 feet, I think, 60 inches. It's pretty good. We'll be using that. Okay, I went over the paint in the other video, but we'll go over it here. This is Summit. I bought this from Summit, not sponsored. I think it was $171 shipped for the kit. Single stage acrylic urethane paint, hardener, reducer. It's called Pure White. Yeah, 171 bucks. I believe I've used it in the past years ago and it was pretty good. We'll see. I am keeping this Avalanche, so we'll see if it screws up in a year or so. The sun bakes it. You'll be hearing about it. Okay, so yeah, it fits in the garage okay. Got enough room to walk around the front. I have to plug in. My lights have been screwing up, so I got one kind of rigged up. So yeah, I got enough room here to walk around. I ran out of my regular primer. So I got all these bugs floating around. I'm not sure when I'm going to paint it. Might be in the morning. So I run out of my regular primer surfacer. I ordered some more cheap stuff off eBay for these cheap cars there. But I'm going to use what I got is some, hopefully some left and it hasn't hardened up. This 2-part epoxy primer. It's about 125 bucks off eBay, but it doesn't dry. It takes a long time to dry, like, you know, a day or so before you can sand it. So I'm gonna mix up a little bit of this. I'm gonna go over all the bare metal spots, okay, like this. There's one light coat, and then we'll put paint over top of that. Don't have to let it dry and sand it and all that stuff. Okay, so that's the way we're gonna do that. I guess that's it. So, this has got some fiberglass little stress cracks and stuff in it. It's made out of fiberglass. I got a little chip here. I'd like to put a little bit of putty in it. I'm not going to dig all this out and refiberglass it and all that stuff. It's just not worth it. So if the paint reacts here, which it probably will, or eventually might, I'm not going to worry about it. Like I said, it's just a cheap, quick paint job. Okay, so I'll be back when I got her masked up and ready to paint. So we'll see you then. Tune into the Rock Show. Weekdays 2 to 6 on Mad Rock.
What difference, John?
Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, made me want to exercise, and I lost 60 pounds in 6 months.
Okay guys, I hope that turned out, because I had some saran wrap stuff wrapped around the lens because I didn't want to get overspray and ruin the camera. Okay, so I got 3 coats on there. What I didn't show was I sprayed a little epoxy primer on the bare metal, and then I just put 2 coats on the roof. So the roof is going to be dull, but it doesn't matter to me because you can't really see it as long as the bare metal and stuff was covered. Okay, so yeah, I think this will work. We're gonna unmask it and put it outside, and we'll take a better look at it. I just used my cheap Harbor Freight gun, but it wasn't spraying. It needed to be cleaned out, the other one, but I had a brand new one, so that's what I was doing halfway through. I switched it to this gun here, and I was painting over here when it was screwing up. Got one little thing here from the paint line, but it looks like that's it. The rest of the areas were real good. I did put a little bit of primer there. Maybe that primer kind of bubbled it out a little bit. But anyway, it's good enough. I said it's just a quick, cheap paint job. This thing was just a beat up, you know, looked like hell. So, it looks 100% better now. Use a fan. I usually use cardboard, but all my cardboard was wet from the rain. And there was no wind, no bugs this morning, so turned out pretty good that way. Here's the little compressor I use. It's good enough. From Harbor Freight. You don't need one of those big compressors to paint a car. Okay, so let me get it unmasked and outside, and we'll take a better look at it. So I'll be back. Okay guys, I think it looks pretty good outside. I'm not going to paint the cladding or nothing. A few people said, oh, won't you paint it this color or that color? Didn't want to get into painting the jams underneath the hood, bed, all that stuff. White's good enough. Said it's just going to be my new tow pig for a while. So yeah, I didn't want to put a lot of work and money into it. Okay, so if you haven't watched the whole series on this, just a little quick one. Started with a $500 piece of crap Trailblazer, rusty. Did a little bit of work, traded that for a Murano, a little bit of work, then traded it for this, which needed a bunch of work. Needed transmission rebuilt, paint job, and then a bunch of little stuff. But anyway, after all was said and done, I got $3,000 cash into this. So I think I got a pretty decent vehicle for $3,000. Runs great, rebuilt transmission, fixed all the little stuff, new paint job. What more could you ask for? So for $3,000, I got a nice little work truck, and more importantly, I can always sell it for more than what I paid for it. Okay, way more than what I paid for it. It's like this, like my black truck here. I bought that 10 years ago for $1,200, wrecked, and I fixed the wreck part of it. It was a bunch of work, but pretty cheap. And I've been driving it for 10 years. I might have $1,500 into it. That's probably worth, you know, $5,000, same as the Avalanche. So that's what I do. I buy vehicles, and whenever I go to sell them, I always sell them for more than what I got into them. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it for this series there. Tell me what y'all think. Just a little Little bug right there, but that's all right. Okay, if you haven't watched the previous videos of the Nomad going on the Hot Rod Power Tour, spent a year building this car. Made it 2,600 miles, trouble-free. I'm going to do a little bit of work to it and stuff. I want to make a video, a music video type thing on it, so that'll be coming up soon. I just gotta, it's in my head, I just gotta put it out on. We're gonna do some work to the red El Camino, put carpet in it, but I'm just kind of holding off a little bit because I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about the seats yet. Anyway, that's coming up. Do a little bit more interior work with the carpet. Then this one's going to be the next bigger project. It's not going to take that long, but we're going to paint that 94 step side, or strip her down. Well, strip half of it down. I don't want to go over too much. I'll start making a video on that pretty soon. Just got a bunch of little stuff to do. Strip down the roof and the doors and stuff. And I found some cheaper paint. That paint for the Avalanche was $171 for the kit. I found some acrylic enamel white for $111. I've already paid for it, bought it. Should be in any day. So we're going to check that out too. So we'll check out some cheap paint. And that one, I'm just going to sell it. I have no use. People like short step side type trucks. I don't. I like full-size trucks with lots of room in them, extended cabs, long beds for actual work. What a truck's for, you know, it's supposed to be good for towing. These little things aren't good for towing. You put a 20-foot trailer on the back of that with a load, that thing's going to be squirrely. You need a long bed like this. Practicality. That's what I use trucks for. I don't use them for looks. So I have absolutely no use for this. It's just going to be sold. That's why I bought some cheap paint for it. But I recommend don't buy or use cheap paint like Rust-Oleum or tractor paint or anything like that on your cars. It ain't gonna last, especially in the south in the sun. It's just gonna bake off. It ain't gonna be worth a shit, and it's a lot of work to prep a car properly so that it doesn't peel and everything. You don't want to go all through that in a couple of months of resanding and scraping the old crap off that you put on there. So don't fall for any of them spray can jobs, Rust-Oleum, tractor paint. It's all junk, okay? Don't bother with any of that. Buy actual car paint. The cheapest we're going is acrylic enamel. That was called acrylic urethane for my cars that I keep. Use the Nissan 2K urethane because that's what's on my truck's been on there 10 years. Even though it's full of overspray and dirt and stuff, it'll still shine just like this does. Never been waxed or buffed or anything. That's what I use for my old classics, but the price is going up on them. So we're experimenting with some cheaper acrylic enamels, acrylic urethane, and I'm gonna do a quick video on the Nova here because I painted that a year and a half ago, something like that. A year ago, I guess, of the acrylic. It was $104, but the paint prices shot up. Same place is like $160 something. So it's a little ridiculous. But we're gonna wash it up. I washed it up a few months ago, but it was kind of on an odd video. I want to make a separate video on it because I getting a lot of views still for recovering the dash and painting it. So we're going to clean it up real good. I'll show you all the dash. We'll see how shiny and stuff it still looks after over a year. Take it for a ride, you know, stuff like that. Just a little video devoted to the Nova. So since that paint acrylic enamel has gone up from 104 to 160 something, that's why I found from a different supplier, different type of paint, but it's acrylic enamel white for 111, and that's the kit. That's with the reducer and the hardener activator and paint sticks and strainers and stirrers and all that stuff. So that'll be coming up. So I'm always on the lookout for decent paint that's cheap. So stay tuned for stuff like that if you're interested in saving money and everything. I already saved the screenshot. I already bought that paint for 111 bucks, and I'll, just like the Nova, I'll put a screenshot. Okay, so that's all coming up. Okay, guys, more stuff after that. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Hope you all learned something. This is kind of a paint job video and the end of the flip. This is the end of the series for this Avalanche. We'll be using it for it'll be in the videos when I'm towing something. We'll need to do a test on it. Some people say, oh, it's coil springs, it's no good for towing. Well, you know, it's the same. Yeah, the trucks are leaf spring. These Suburbans, Tahoes and stuff are coil spring, but they tow all the time. You always see them towing stuff. I don't think it's going to be a problem towing, you know, unless they're talking about you need a 1-ton leaf spring with a, you know, if you're towing a heavy machinery or something. I don't see a problem with it. But yeah, I'll make a video of it when I'm gonna get more into buying some more junk cars, guys, because I've been kind of neglecting that part of my business or whatever, because I've been concentrating on the Nomad for the last year. So I'm gonna be putting out ads buying junk cars, so stay tuned for you know, every time I get a few cars in, I'll make a video of what I got in, what I paid for it, how much money you can make off of it, whether they're worth fixing, junking, scrapping, strip the cats off of them, sell them, all that stuff. That's all coming up too. So this one's ready to go to work. I still haven't, I need to go change the title, get the title tags, transfer, tax, all that stuff. It ain't gonna be very much, but I need to get that done. And yeah, it's insured. I got insurance on it, so it's ready to go to work. Cold AC, room for the dogs. Oh, I didn't show the dogs here. Dogs are doing good. Well, good to be expected. Puppy's getting kind of old. How you doing, pup? Doing okay? And Nikki, how you doing? You doing okay, girl? Yeah, I might have to take Puppy to the vet. She's just she doesn't walk too far, and she has to lay down and rest, and she's not eating a whole lot. I'm gonna mix chicken noodle soup in with her food there for her to eat some of it. So I don't know. She's been like this for a month or two. She's just getting old. She's like 11 and a half going on 12, something like that. So anyway, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff, and we'll see y'all next video. Thanks everybody for watching.